All right, I think we're live. We're checking with the systems. We have 2 viewers. Everyone gives us a thumbs up. Say hello in chat. And remember to start out by giving this video a thumbs up. Even if you're watching later on, it's always good to give the video a thumbs up or a retweet or whatever system you're watching on. We're getting ready for the Curio.Cards anniversary party. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about Curio.Cards. So as you can see here, we didn't have no fans at all. We had one fan. We had Roback fan. And you can see this right here is from the period 2017. And this is an original hand-drawn on computer artwork of the Curio card mascot. You can see he's jonesing. And what is he jonesing for? He's jonesing for some cards. He says, I've got to get my teeth into those new Curio cards. I got to have them. Got to get them. There were a couple of other ones that Roback posted today. I just wanted to show them all because he shared them. August 1, Curio card cash. And he's going to his dumpster. He's got his little cup there.
This was during the Bitcoin cash fork, apparently. This is what Travis said.
That's it. There you go. It's from the period.
Yeah.
From the period. Let's see. Live now. They're not seeing anything in the YouTube, so I might have broken the YouTube. So
it looks like we're live on a different link.
Okay, that's fine. On a different
the
YouTube.
Bitcoin group 257.
Oh, that's always good. Let me try.
Put it in the chat there, Travis,
yeah,
so we can share.
Yeah, let's just start restarting or something. I don't know. Like it's not...
Should I share
this is
one?
the one now. Just share this one.
Yeah, I'll share this one.
It's already go.
Let's see.
I'll always change the names later.
Change the names now. Let's see. I had the name written down somewhere else.
Moon was the first fan. He just brought me here. So I have to say, like, Moon's fandom is the reason why you have to deal with me now.
All right, hold on. Change one of the things.
All right, I'm tweeting out the new link.
Changing 2 of the things. Okay, I fixed that. All right, sorry, I messed up the first link. We are live on the second link.
Might want to delete those other Twitter tweets.
Yeah, I deleted the old one. I just tweeted out the new one. It does say that it's the Bitcoin group, but that's fine.
No, I fixed that now, I think. But let's see, on this one, it's going to say...
I'll rerun the card through Validator. It should fix it.
This thing...
The Curio group. 1.
Yep, got it. I fixed it in Twitter. Give it 30 seconds and Twitter will recache that title and then thumbnails will all be right.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
This one is still must.
New card Tuesday. I remember that.
Thumbs up.
All right, hold on. One more thing.
Roback, what is your medium? Is it a mouse and MS Paint?
Yeah. That's my primary medium. Yeah, mouse. I like drawing with a rock in your palm. I think that's basically the thing, you do this. The claw. Yeah, and then sometimes I think actually though, I think I had a tablet at these times. But I just got lazy at a certain point and the tablet I bought was like way cheaper than Wacom's were at that point. The drivers didn't work on anything but like Windows 7. So there was like always a solid line. Like if you're thinking about things like HD, like 1920 by 1080, like I was 1919 by 1080, like resolution at all times. And it was just the most slightly frustrating thing in the world.
We're looking at some of Roback's early art here from New Card Tuesday. We're back on the air. We fixed the live stream. We're ready now. It says here, hey kid, want to buy some Curio cards? And you can see it's kind of a back alleyway and he's opening up his jacket, which is full of cards. And this is kind of the way Curio cards was and kind of the way it's maintained, right? The way it still is today. As it says on the description and in some of the tweets, shh. This is a top secret project. No one should talk about Curio cards. Let me tell you why. You can look right here to this fantastic gallery of crypto art, the history of crypto art, a chronological review of crypto art, blockchain related physical art, and crypto collectibles. Sure, we're mentioned in here several times. The San Francisco Bitcoin meetup is mentioned as the proof of art event, which took place in 2016, is mentioned. Of course, many of the Curio.Card artists, including Crypto Graffiti and the Curio.Card founders, were at this event. We can look at the Curio.Card webpage here to see evidence of Curio.Cards from 2017. And of course, the gallery, which we'll talk more about later. What I wanted to add, the fact that they're being sold on OpenSea now. But there's much more. We wanted to remember tonight the story about Mad Bitcoins, or Thomas, Travis, the Bard, and Rhett, the Muscle Man, did the programming. And of course, our advisor, Rick, and that time that we all got together for food at the Irish Bank, I think it was, in San Francisco. Classic photo right there of the Curio.Card founders, the OGs. We were mentioned in a couple of articles on Bitcoin.com, Blockchain Collectibles, a discussion with the creator of Curio.Cards. This article is from June 4th, 2017. They did a recent updated article, same author, Jamie Redman, and Jamie covered rare Pepes, Curio.Cards, Nilicoins, and other OG collectibles that helped start the NFT madness, but unfortunately that was only in Bitcoin.com, and that wasn't enough for Wikipedia. Wikipedia has removed Curio.Cards from the crypto art article. It does not exist anymore. I said this is a top secret project. You can see it used to be right here in May. We can go to the Wikipedia edit station to see what happened, and we can see that David Garrard here came along and said that the sites are not solid WP reliable sources. No crypto sites, promotional sites, personal blogs, Forbes contributor blogs, or the Ethereum blockchain itself are reliable sources for Wikipedia. Hear me roar, said David. And he came through the article like a whirlwind, removing the entire Curio section. There it is right here, line 31 and line 26. It's gone.
That is incredible, isn't it? That is
Dropped from
absolutely
existence.
incredible. I didn't know that he did that. That is incredible.
Well, the public ledger is not.
itself.
Yeah, it's not verifiable. We can't verify anything on this stuff. It's not the point of it. You fool! This is it's as abstract as Wikipedia editors.
So it's to no surprise that Curio.Cards are not mentioned in the mainstream awareness section of the NFT article 2017 through 2021. As you can see here, the article mainly focuses on the American studio Larva Labs, which is CryptoPunks. CryptoPunks, according to their webpage, are the first non-fungible token on Ethereum. Straight up, the first. And it gets more, there's more. The inspiration for the ERC 721 standard that powers most digital art and collectibles. CryptoPunks right here on their front page. Larva Labs, like a parasite. So if we go to the ERC 421 spec and we search for Curio.Cards, we see that there is a discussion of other NFTs other than CryptoPunks. As we can see here, example NFT implementations as of February 2018, CryptoKitties, CryptoPunks, Auction House, Asset Interface, and a very interesting, and I think the beginning of a long discussion here, it says, note, limited edition collectible tokens like Curio.Cards and rare Pepes are not distinguishable assets. They're actually a collection of individual fungible tokens, IFTs perhaps, each of which is tracked by its own smart contract with its own total supply, which may be one in extreme cases. So that was the mention of Curio.Cards there. There's also a mention in the footnotes. It says NFT implementations and other projects. So it's up to you what that means, but very clearly there are many other projects, including Curio.Cards and rare Pepes that existed before CryptoPunks. So it's interesting to see that. If you Google search Curio.Cards for images, it comes up with a lot of Curio.Cards. It's interesting stuff. And we have more about the magic ticket, the golden ticket, later in the show. But I wanted to go around, and we have a lot of fun people here today, so let's do some introductions. Adam McBride, who are you? Say hello.
Hey, everybody. I'm just a big fan, and I was one of the first people to kind of, well, I just got somebody on Twitter was DM'd me and said, hey, Curio.Cards, go get them now. And so that's my introduction to it. And I spent the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 days trying to contact probably every single one who's in this chat right now, trying to get a hold of you and find out what the heck was going on. And so I know all you now, and it's a pleasure to be here. Real honor.
Let's go down the line. Let's introduce Travis, one of the founders and co-participant here on the Curio.Card project. Go ahead, Travis.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, what Adam just said, that was how I learned that Curio had been rediscovered. I had just quit my job for unrelated reasons, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna have like a week off. And I had my last day was on Friday. I'm like, I'm gonna have a week off, and I'm gonna start working on some new projects. And like the next day, my Twitter blows up, and I have no idea what's going on. And Adam had a thread where he explained everything that was happening, and I read that thread, and it got me all up to date.
Let's also introduce Daniel Friedman. How did you hear that Curio.Cards were back?
Greetings, everyone. Really an honor to be here tonight. I'm Daniel. I'm in California and was contacted by a few email seekers and got to have a conversation with Adam, who filled me in on a lot of the details.
Another brought here by Adam. Let's go to Luis. How did you hear about the return of Curio.Cards?
Hey guys. So for me, it was actually a couple of the collectors, right? And they were kind of similar to Travis. Like I just woke up one morning and like I had a whole bunch of notifications and DMs and things like that, and people were asking me, if I had seen what was going on with Curio.Cards, and I was like, remind me again what that was, because it had been a while. It had been a while, so I had to kind of do the googling, right?
Where it said, "Hey, have you got any cards?"
Right. So people were asking me for cards, and I was like, is this some euphemism for something that I'm not aware of? Like, yeah, there was a little bit of backtracking for me personally because it had been so long. But yeah, it's been a weird, wonderful ride since then. It's only like a month ago, right? Or a little bit over, I guess.
4 years doesn't sound like a long time, but it is a long time to forget all those details.
Oh, yeah.
Let's also introduce Robeck, author of the Robex cards.
Yeah, so I want to just first correct the record. I am not Robex World. There is no parenthesis S. I'm just regular Robeck. It's fine. No biggie. I just want to, after 4 years, want to set the record straight. There's not, I don't own anything. It's just, I exist in this plane. I was dragged here by Moon, who was like, working on a bunch of really cool stuff, and like he had done some colored coin stuff back on Bitcoin. And he was like, hey, I'm trying to do some Fediverse stuff, which is like a distributed federated network. Doesn't really matter. It's awesome. But he was like, Curio is really cool. This is really like kind of a like what I think that the future could be. And he sold it to me, and like then yeah, he was like, you want to try some? He's like, here's a couple of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you might like this. I was like, oh, this feels really good, man. Like, this is bringing back weird memories of baseball cards and stuff like from my childhood. And I'm like, I can get into this. And so then I became, I don't know, you have to deal with me now. So that's how I discovered Curio.Cards, and that's why I am here. And then I drew some pictures.
Got to start them off young with those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You got to hit them while they're impressionable.
And
when they're find their first blockchains.
Dealing with that horrible secret for so many years, it's like you got a bad tattoo and you're just saving up to get the laser to like fix that spelling on the bad tattoo, and you can't change it. You can't change that webpage no matter what you do. We're here talking about Curio.Cards, a secret project. We're also joined by Max Infeld, another one of the Curio artists, but I don't see your name on that list. Max, what's going on? Of course, Max has no audio, so we can't hear Max. We couldn't hear him beforehand, and we made fun of him, and we thought it would be funny and like that the situation would improve.
Well, I'll fill the air. I didn't answer your actual question, so I'm going to come in and talk. I actually discovered it because I got an email to a dead form from a like a deprecated like WordPress thing. Like I don't know how they found it. It was like a form that doesn't exist. They did like found the same way they found the contracts. They like found a web archive and then pushed something to post. I don't really know. They're like, hey man, you got any Curio cards? I'm like, you no, and I ignored it. And then like a day later, Adam tweets or like sends me a DM. Is like, hey man, you got any Curio cards? And I was like,
wait a minute, I don't think I did that, dude.
No,
I'm a little
you
more
didn't.
subtle than that, dude. Come
but I
on,
messaged
man.
Kian,
Hey
who's in
man,
here.
you got any
You make
Curio
friends
cards?
first, then you ask
No,
for the
that's how it
card.
felt. That's how it
Yeah.
felt. Well,
That's
and then
not bad.
like I messaged Kian because we had been talking most recently out of anybody that had been associated with the project, and I was just like, dude, there's like people in this new Discord server. What the hell is going on? And then that's basically my entry point.
The archaeology skills on the people who found Curio is shocking. We were saying Roback about them digging up some random unlisted WordPress form. It sounded extremely accurate. They were finding contracts that, you know, we removed from the site that we had buried. They found versions of the contracts we didn't even remember existed.
So let's go back to the beginning here. Let me open up this gallery again. And just for a minute here, Travis, tell us a little bit about what happened in 2017. Why are we here on May 9th of all days in 2021?
May 9th was the day we launched the first 3 Curio cards, 1, 2, and 3. And it was a very quick launch. We had I think we had the idea at a bar, you, me, and Rhett, and some other people. And we had done the art show the year before. And a couple of years before that, there was the art fair. And we wanted to do the art show again, but we wanted to do it online. We wanted to make it so you didn't have to live in San Francisco to attend, that more people could find out about it. And there was this project called Rare Pepe that had these trading cards on top of Bitcoin. And we thought that was a really clever idea. And we took some inspiration from that, as well as a couple other things, because it didn't exist on Ethereum yet. And Rhett had some ideas on how to build it. And we used IPFS, which was a new thing that had come out. And we contacted some artists. And the first version of the website was a blogger platform post, I think. And the Curio avatar was something that Tom got on Fiverr. And the website after that was like bootstrap templates. It was very basic. We got it out. It worked. You could buy cards. You could hold them. You could send them. And that was May 9th, 2017.
One question for you there, Travis. I think it was Daniel told me the way he applied as an artist was like an online form. Like you could send the art through an online form to apply. Well, tell us a little bit about that. So
the first artist was Philippe, and Tom and Philippe already had a relationship. Philippe does a lot of artwork for Mad Bitcoins. So we already knew him, and we had contacts with artists as well from the art show we'd done the year before, people like Crypto Graffiti. And so we kind of had our initial people that we knew. We wanted to reach outside of that. We wanted to get people, like, the idea was how great it would be to have somebody who is not in Ethereum, is not in Bitcoin, is not in crypto right now. We can get new people, and this could be a way that artists could learn about crypto in a way that they could, get some in and get involved. And if we could have artists that even did art not about crypto, because everything back then was crypto themed artwork. So we put a form up on the website once we were moving, because every week we release new cards. So we had to find new artists every week anyways. And Daniel found us through the form. Robeck as well. I don't think it was through the form. He just showed up in the Discord. Moon and Robeck were our first fans. They were the first people ever to show up and said Curio was neat.
That's amazing.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties. I think I can get it to work now.
All right.
You can totally, hear you.
Another Curio artist, Max Infeld, has joined us. Go ahead, Max. Tell us how you heard the project was back.
Oh man, yeah. So where do I start out? I heard from Tom. Tom hit me up. He's like, "Do you got some art?" He's like, "I got these things called Curio cards," and I was quite curious, and the rest is history. And then fast forward like 4 years, I started getting these like strange doxing style messages, like congratulating me. by some people in this room. And yeah, it was really a lot of like, it started out with like a couple random messages. I think one of the first messages I got was from Adam McBride, and he thought I was a project coordinator. I'm like, oh no, you need to talk to these other guys. But shortly after, there was like, period about a week or two, I would say I got like 100 and something just random messages from Curio crackheads craving the sweet Curio nectars. And yeah, it's been wild since.
We were talking about the genesis of the project and how it didn't look like much from the outside, but what was actually happening under the hood was really interesting. Rhett had written some really impressive smart contracts on Ethereum, and he even invented this kind of vending machine thing where rare Pepes didn't have a very good distribution method. They didn't have any exchanges. They had all the cards were painted green, if you like that kind of thing. And their mascot, well, he was a little questionable. And that went on and on and on. So they were kind of trapped over there on Counterparty. On Ethereum, we had a lot more freedom and a lot more ability to build the baseball card, art card kind of system that we talked about in our plans. And one of the things that Rhett built was a vending machine where you could send Ethereum to the vending machine. It would send you back a card. And the card was an ERC20 token, and it was highly modified so that it would act the way we wanted it to act. We had certain ideas. We said it has to be 1.0. It can't be half a card or a quarter of a card. If you tear up a baseball card, you give me half, you've destroyed the value of the card. So we had it locked in at 1. We had a couple of other things about how the art would be stored in IPFS so that hopefully it would last forever on the interplanetary file system. Hopeful thing to think in 2017. And with that, we launched the cards. We had okay success. Like we said, we had Keon and Moon and Robeck. We had 3 or 4 people that were into it. Robeck sent some art in. We had a couple of people in maybe we had a Slack or something, or we just had Twitter. And we had the weekly YouTube show. And what kind of YouTube show did we do on Tuesdays, Travis?
We'd launch the new cards. Every Tuesday we have new cards. So we'd have a live stream, and it was just really us updating the website live, hitting refresh on camera and showing the new contract links for the new cards. Because those vending machines that Rhett created, they were these addresses that you just send ETH to, and then you get cards back. You see this now as like the mint function on a 721 contract NFT that, you send money to the contract, it gives you a card back. That's sort of the modern version of it. But we had 6 contracts each week that had to get launched, that Reddit had to put out, each of the cards and then each of the vending machines.
And wait a minute, you're saying 6? I thought there was only 3 cards. Why was there 6 contracts at first?
Yeah, the vending machines, they were a separate contract. We had the innovation of being able to buy directly from the chain, directly from the project, but we didn't have the innovation of it being one contract. That was, we did a couple of new things. So there was that, to be able to buy directly from the project.
What about the prices?
Yeah, they were just hard coded. I think we targeted like $1 or something was the goal, sometimes based on the price of Ethereum.
I'm pretty sure we'd have to ask Rhett, but I think he had to code different vending machines for the different prices. So we had some that were like the early sale where we figured the problem was these things aren't selling because they're not cheap enough. So we made some that were really, really cheap, and we hoped people would buy them. And then we made the other ones that were like $1, which was still like relatively cheap, right? And eventually we stopped doing that because it's too much work on Rhett to make the extra.
Little did you know they weren't selling because nobody was interested. That's why they weren't selling.
I mean, I think from my perspective, like what was really interesting, like, and I'm not going to get into too much like this stuff, but the price differences between 1 through 10 and then the other ones was actually interesting because this recommendation at the time made sense. You guys, like the first 20, I think, were like seeded, right? Like you guys had like people, and then the ones after that were people you reached out to or that volunteered to submit. The recommendations at the time were like, you need to price your card. If you want to move these cards, you need to price them at a way that makes sense for the current environment. Like gas fees were like 50 cents, like $1. Like people were not willing to pay that kind of stuff, and that was like a huge thing. So it's like, yeah, it was. And this is like
$1 in gas fees.
Yeah, I know, it's wild. And so it's like, I remember, I'll talk more about this stuff later, but I remember when I submitted my stuff, they were like, you shouldn't do this other card that is like 3 decimal places like higher than I don't know, it was like 0.001 versus 0.003. That was like the argument. It was like, you can't do this. You're not going to move your cards.
It's too expensive.
You're crazy.
50 cents is never
going
gonna
to work. And then I'm not going to reveal the end of that conversation yet, but I thought it was like fascinating to see like the different shifts in prices because it created new opportunities.
Well, the distribution model on 1 through 10 was wildly different as well because we essentially let people decide how many would exist. So that's why the first 1 through 10 have really weird numbers. Like there's 2006 of one and like 1700 of another. And it's all these really obscure numbers. What Tom was mentioning about the multiple vending machines, that's totally true. The first couple of cards, there were like way more contracts because they had, Red had early bird contracts and then middle bird and then the final price. So you could buy from the cheaper one before it sold out and then the next one. And it was just a ton of work. It took them hours to deploy the contracts. But on top of that, we made 100,000 of them. Like there were 100,000 of each card. And you had a week to buy as many as you wanted. And at the end of the week, whatever didn't sell, we burned.
And this was also an attempt to raise money for the company because, although I can volunteer my time, at least for a couple of months, Rhett's a serious programmer. Travis has a real job. Everybody had rent to pay. We had to figure out a way to, kind of monetize this thing. So we looked at those first 10, and like Travis said, I think we made 100,000, maybe 200,000 of them. And this led to confusion later on. I know Adam McBride here told me that when he saw there were 200,000, he said, forget it. Nobody's going to buy all of those.
Yeah. When I finally got to the contract, right, my friends on Twitter had already like swiped all of the other cards, and the only one remaining was, I believe, 10, card number 10. And I got there, it was still early. It was like, there was like, 99,800 left. And I'm like, oh God, like, why would I spend, and there was like $5 in ETH each, right? But I was like, why would, even if I get 100, that's $500 for something that's going to be basically worth, there's 100,000 of them. Like, why, who's going to buy this? Like I had that mindset that everybody had in 2017, which is, just no vision. And so I did not buy. I did not push buy. And sure enough, once 2,000 of them were gone, all the rest got burned, thanks to Rhett's great programming.
Yeah, that was sort of a relic that we forgotten about, that there was these unsold cards. And yeah, people, they see the contracts. You go at Etherscan now and it says there's 100,000 of them. But if you look at the holding addresses, you'll see 900, 89,000 of them or whatever are in a burn address.
And we're looking at the cards right now on the gallery. They do tell a little bit of a story, and I don't have the original story here. You can go look it up. I think it's on Bitcoin Talk. But starting with the first card, of course, we chose the apple. I studied English literature in college. We're talking about the fall from the garden. We're talking about Newton's apple, Apple's computers. It starts with A. It's above Atari in the listings. All those reasons are a good reason to choose Apple, and as well as to start us out with kind of a food theme. So we're starting out with sustenance here with apples, and then nuts and berries, which I revealed on the Adam McBride show, that nuts and berries is a deep embedded reference to the Talking Heads. The song Animals by the Talking Heads, where it says, it's about animals, and it says, they say they don't need money. They're living on nuts and berries. And it's all about animals. So it's kind of a fun reference. And it also has a little bit to do with art, because a lot of the Talking Heads, like Found a Job, is about making art instead of watching TV. And David Byrne is just an incredible artist and inspirational artist as well. From there, the art theme continues.
Also, these were like the first food coins. And a lot of ways you think that there's a huge fad now to make a food themed coin. And here you go, an apple in 2017.
It is very early food theme. And I also think there'll be people that most definitely, while they were Instagramming their lunch and that kind of thing, I could see people NFTing their lunch. Even someone famous, like a famous chef, like eating a lot of cool foods and NFTing it each time. From there, the art theme continues, but it gives you the the basic building steps of art. So clay, paint, and ink, the things that you'll need to make more advanced art later on. Let's see, we've got Daniel Friedman has another piece. Hold on, Daniel, I got to show you. All right, no, there it is. There it is, you're on the screen. So then you can continue to make your art as you make sculptures with the clay, paintings with the paint, and books with the ink. Number 8's a little interesting though. This is perhaps the first Mona Lisa on the blockchain. And it's been interesting because so many articles right now, I think we're going to go ahead and stop the forward discussion of the gallery. So many articles talk about putting the NFT on, putting the Mona Lisa on the blockchain, and how that like makes the Mona Lisa worthless or makes the Mona Lisa more valuable or those kind of things. And here we have number 8, Mona Lisa on a blockchain, that was also recognized just arbitrarily, I don't know how it started, by the Curio card community as the clean Lisa. And they started to make memes and jokes about the clean Lisa.
So clean.
Things because it's so clean.
I mean, it's not a joke. It's literally the cleanest. It's very, very clean. Like out of all the different things that you could look at in the Curio gallery, I don't know. It's just like it just shines, it glistens. So that's it's not a meme. It's not a meme. It's just the truth. That's it. I mean, I don't have anything to add. Like, thank you, Dis, for pointing out that, like, doing the critique that led me to that conclusion. It took a lot of time. There's a lot of really interesting things here. I could go through this like art school, but it's really not worth it. Let's just agree that it's the cleanest one.
We just all need to agree that this is the best Curio card. Move on.
No, it's not the best. It's just the cleanest. Yeah, they're all the best. This is just the cleanest. Yeah, it's very, very clean.
22 is clearly the best. The 1 through 10 cards are also part of that story, as it's sort of Curio the raccoon. It's his journey. He's collecting berries, making ink, to make paintings, to write books. It's each thing builds on the next, as well as the kind of the deeper part of the story or lighter part of the story, till the very end, where he then goes off into the future.
Future, card 10, the future. And like Travis said, at this point, we were done trying to print cards for the company and trying to raise them. So we went towards a different strategy, which was just kind of...
And I should add too, just context on those first 10. Like ultimately, we didn't pursue that as a money-making business tool. That was just sort of the early ideas, but we didn't end up doing it that way.
Well, if it had sold hundreds of thousands, I don't know, we would have been able to.
We definitely would have, yeah. But since it didn't, they weren't that popular.
Now, thousands, there weren't there, but we continued. We did not give up. We continued with our strategy, and we recruited our artist friends. And as you can see here, for Crypto Graffiti, we made 2,000 of each card. And you would think that because they're Crypto Graffiti, they would be valuable and they'd be doing really well. But I think that it's more about modern supply. And with 2,000 of these cards, they didn't sell, and a lot of them were traded on the modern market, the market in the last few months.
Hey, Thomas, one question. You want to try and are you able to use the cyber gallery that Robeck developed?
It's in the chat and the Zoom, Tom, the link.
It might be cool. I don't know if you can use it, but if your computer can handle that, but it would.
You got to use video game controls. You got to use WASD. You're playing Doom. Okay, let's go. Let's do this.
Look at this. Hey, who built this thing,
gallery? See, here's the Crypto Graffiti cards.
Very cool. So you know how you work this, right? You can click on each one individually.
Yeah.
Amazing work, Robeck. Good work.
Wow.
Hey, thanks. I really did this. I didn't just use a really great tool from another project that was building tools to do this stuff, but yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I did it all by myself. No, I mean, I'm not being facetious. Like, to be honest, like this is like a low key community tool. It's like really cool. Like they've come out with it in the past month. It's obviously not like as expansive like Decentraland or stuff like that, or CryptoVoxels, where you have like the whole world you can expand. But there's like multiple galleries and it's super fast. Last week, the performance was awful. Like it would crash your computer. I'm surprised Tom's able to use it. This week, they fixed everything. Like you can run it on a potato. It's impressive. So anyway, that's my like low-key shill. Like I don't even know who the developers for this thing is, but basically it just checks your wallet to see what's in your wallet, and you're able to use that to put on your walls.
So now we know Robeck's wallet contains every Curio card. He's one of the few who
I like
just
the
is
project. I just really liked it.
hashtag
You know?
low key flex. Nice.
I mean,
nice.
Robeck was the first fan or the second fan.
That's right.
He was in the Discord. He was
Second.
in our Telegram. I think it was
The
even
record-
Telegram room back then.
It's Moon is the first fan. Moon is the evangelist. Moon is the one.
So now,
who-
why don't we get Moon in here for a second since we're on this? Moon, tell us a little bit about how you found these guys and found the project.
So I was doing colored coins on Bitcoin, and I was like Robeck had mentioned, the Fediverse was like a distributed social network. I was making colored coins of all my friends, just making coins with their names on them and with a picture on them. And I had gotten into ETH on the gotten into Ethereum, and was looking at like how to do the same sort of thing on Ethereum, and found Curio cards. And I must have found it really early. But yeah, I found it, and it was really cool. It was like, hey, this is better than what I'm doing. Like this is what I wanted to be doing, and brought Robeck along, and and then found it like that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common experience with people who were in the space early, was they were trying to do things through the Bitcoin blockchain and do what ETH just kind of made it faster, easier, better. Is that your experience?
Yes.
Yep.
Much more flexible.
Yep. But even still, I think it's pretty, as Thomas was saying earlier, and Travis, Rhett's ability to program this and all this stuff. This was, really,
it was very, very impressive for the time
I guess.
period.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important to remember MetaMask technically existed, but it was a sort of obscure beta project no one really used. The idea of telling people you have to install a plugin to use your website, that was thought as a terrible thing. So we had to fork my Ether wallet. There was, I think Truffle existed, but I don't think there were a lot of great tooling for it yet. I believe Red had to deploy the contracts using like that web remix tool. There was no Uniswap. There was no decentralized exchange. It was a very early version of Solidity. It was a very difficult time to be developing on Ethereum.
Yep. I think we still, I've tweeted about it a little bit over the last few days. We're still very early. I saw a tweet the other day said, oh, imagine, MetaMask is now up to 5 million daily users, and think about that, 5 million. That's the size of the country I'm in. That's Costa Rica. You think about that globally, the number of people interacting with the blockchain. MetaMask is the main way, and it's basically only Costa Rica right now is that number of people, which is nothing, is interacting right now. We're still at baby steps. We're talking about Curio cards here in 2017. We're still very early to this, but it was amazing.
And that's a very accurate number, because as you said, MetaMask is like the way you interact. So with their user count, that's going to be the DeFi user count.
Thomas, how are you doing with this, controlling this? Is this all right for you?
That's 1.0 Costa Rica's involved in NFTs, right?
Tom, I think it's really impressive. Your rig, I just want to compliment your rig. You're streaming audio. You're running a wildly advanced browser 3D gallery that should not be capable to run at the same time that you're like also hosting like 10 people through a Zoom call. So very cool. It felt like. So
you're saying we can crash at any moment, is what you're saying?
If it crashes, it crashes. I don't think it will. He's doing pretty good. No one's having any audio like whirls. There's a little bit of a stream delay on the gallery, but I think it looks good. So I think we should just do this. It feels way more tangible than the other gallery, but also the other gallery is awesome. Snow is a community developer, just showed up at the project and volunteered a ton of his time to just throw in and make stuff that works and basically fix the shit that me and Moon had done 4 years ago for our viewer, and the stuff that Travis and Tom and Kian had done for theirs. So yeah, super cool.
Yeah,
either way.
My viewer just flat out didn't work anymore. All the APIs were invalid. They my Ether wallet was like, whoa, you can't be taking this much free API data, because every time you loaded it would do like 30 API calls. So it just didn't work anymore.
Yeah,
I can actually believe that Curio Cards may have been the first project to fork the My Ether wallet. another small historical thing. At the time, I didn't know if anybody else that was doing it. We had a very specific use case that kind of required us to do
A
that.
problem today where you have to enter all of those card addresses if you want to see if you have any tokens. And it's still, I'm sitting there like, I thought we solved this. I thought we had a fix.
Yeah,
And
that was another reason why MetaMask actually wasn't a great option for us, other than we barely knew about it. You had to manually enter all the contract addresses. That's what we, at first, the first couple of weeks, you had to go into My Ether wallet and you had to manually enter the card addresses. And since our goal was to make Ethereum easy, to make digital art something anybody could do, it kind of invalidated a lot of that if you had to go copy paste contract addresses into a web app. Kian forked the wallet a few weeks in and made my Curio wallet, which had all the addresses hard coded in. And that was a huge usability gain.
so
Honestly,
after
with all
that-
these challenges, it's kind of amazing you guys had 3 fans.
it was difficult to buy the cards. You had to go through a lot of steps to send the Ethereum to this address to find out that you had them and all that. I can't quite show Daniel's art. We'll have to do a review at the end, Daniel. We're going to do a recap because I can't.
Yeah, Dan.
Can't push all these buttons at the same time. But
The Daniel's
one of you share the-
live drawing during the event.
Can you one of you share the story of how you got Crypto Graffiti to give 3 pieces?
Well, he was, we worked with him before, the year before at the art show. He also was a regular at El Rio, which was the Bitcoin meetup group where we actually kind of thought of Curio in the first place. El Rio is this bar in San Francisco that once a month we would do a drinks gathering at, and we usually had a sponsor.
Proof of drink,
some
right?
Company, proof of drink, that's right. We had some sponsors, some company would give us money to pay for people's drinks. And that particular event, because when I started organizing the meetup group, I took over for previous people. Me and Tom were both co-organizers, and we took over for people who had organized it before, and they took over for someone who had organized it before that. And the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup group is the oldest continuously running crypto meetup group. And that event, El Rio, had been there since the very beginning. So that El Rio meetup event was like the oldest, longest, consistently running crypto meetup event. So I loved going to those. Really interesting people would show up all the time, including Crypto Graffiti, who he showed up and he said, "Hey, I'm a crypto artist." I was like, "I'm sorry, what is that?" There had been the art fair before where people were making like Doge soap and things like that, and people were selling their art for Bitcoin. But I hadn't actually encountered yet somebody did art about Bitcoin until he showed up at El Rio. Yeah.
For when you say I'm a crypto artist, obviously like in 2021, like I'm not trying to fill in for Thomas and Adam here, like both of them, have good questions too. But like in 2021, when you say I'm a crypto artist, people are like, okay, well you're doing the NFTs or you're an eco-terrorist or like whatever the thing they want to do. But like back in 2017, I'm curious if like when somebody like Crypto Graffiti or like CryptoPop say I'm a crypto artist, if they are using that as the medium and that's why they're saying it versus being like, I do art about crypto.
I think at the time, the definition that Crypto Graffiti gave me was that he did art about crypto. Obviously, there were projects like Rare Pepe where you could do on the medium of a blockchain as well. You could do counterparty assets. CryptoPop probably has a good answer for this as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was thematic, right? I mean, so me and Crypto Graffiti, FNEEP, guys like that. I mean, Coin Artist also. We're propagandists, essentially. That's basically what we're doing, right? We're making cool art that will make this stuff, I don't know, more palatable, more appealing to the mainstream market. And Graffiti himself was very much a kind of a counterculture kind of guy, right? So he would take like well-known logos and branding and kind of like twist them around. And I was kind of similar in that sense, but I was more of a comic book guy. So kind of like my style was more illustrative and kind of funny and all of that stuff. But when we say crypto artist, at least back then, it just meant that we liked making art about crypto. That it didn't necessarily mean that we were using the medium. And in fact, if Curio.Cards hadn't come along, I'm not really sure I would have known what to like, the current definition of crypto artist. I'm not sure I would have kind of been that until just very recently. When the whole NFT thing like really started to kind of formalize.
And I think coin artist is really important to mention here as well, because her art actually was cryptography. For people that haven't checked it out, if you look at her early pieces, one of the things she was doing is kind of embedding a secret or a puzzle inside of the art. And the early ones look like QR codes, and some of them are scannable and some of them aren't. And you have to count the edges, and there's little details that add up to a math formula that if you're smart, you figured it out. And obviously it's the internet, so somebody figured it out. You get the Bitcoin inside the piece. And I forget the number. I think it was probably 10 Bitcoin or something she put inside the piece. And it was like $500 at the time. We're all like, oh yeah, that's cool. $500 art piece. And if you just look at it now, it's insane. I mean, there's many people's houses that were inside of this art. And, you know, the guy probably cracked it, sold it for $1,000 or something, moved along. But she's continued to make that kind of art with the magic money trapped inside. And now she's working on her own project. I'm blanking on the name of it, but she's doing fantastic work with NFTs. I saw one recently. She NFT'd a picture of all of her followers, and then she gave it away to her followers. That was great. And they have a whole like a cypherpunk game that you can play with NFTs that she's working on at Coin Artist. Does anyone know the name of the project? Neon Gateway?
The cyberpunk one is called Neon District.
Neon District. I knew it was Neon something, but yeah.
It's like amazing artwork on that one too. One of the artists, this guy Diego, is just like fucking phenomenal.
So we knew Coin Artist from Twitter, we knew Crypto Graffiti from the meetup, and it's just another one of these things where if you have to work at this. I didn't understand it for a long time, so I didn't move to LA, and I don't know any cool movie making people. But if you move to San Francisco and you're into crypto at the time, you could meet cool crypto people. So like Travis says, Crypto Graffiti just up and comes to the meetings, and I'd seen him on Twitter, and his work's kind of Banksy, Andy Warhol, and so I was instantly into it. And like Luis said, propaganda, right? He's transformed these bank logos. It's clearly propaganda. It's you know, it's secret. He's sneaking into banks and using their pens to make the work. And it's another one where Adam knows how this is, and we all know your friend's making art, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And then pretty soon you're in like a little gallery, and your friend's selling art for like a couple grand, and you're like, that's cool, but you know, a couple grand's like a lot of rent money and stuff. And then pretty soon another one of your friends who owns Kraken comes through, buys all the art, and now Crypto Graffiti's a real artist. So it happens really fast. So if your friend's making cool art, like Max Infeld right here, I think I have some early Max Infelds in a closet somewhere. You got to get them, you got to collect them. But it's really awkward because you have to pay those thousands of dollars or whatever because your friends are worth it. Luis, what do you think about this, about friends making art that's worth money all of a sudden? How strange is that?
Well, I mean, so my context is that I'm not actually from kind of the San Francisco kind of Bitcoin world of 2017, right? I happened to be just at the right place at the right time. So 2017, I happened to be going to the States a couple times that year because I was kind of in that mode where I was raising money for my startup, which is based out here in the Philippines. So I was doing those El Rio things as often as possible, right? And that's where I met both Rick Chan, that fourth guy in your photo, and then you know Peter Crypto Graffiti himself, and like a whole bunch of other guys. And this was like so long ago that El Rio was being sponsored by Coinbase, right? I mean, like when was the last time they did that? Anyway, I just thought it was kind of funny.
We were the last people they sponsored.
Yeah. So good times, right?
Did you do work there, Pop? Like early on?
No. I took a lot of free lunches and free pizzas from the Bitcoin meetups. That's okay. What I can say about that. Because there were so many of them, right? I mean, and out here, like you would have like maybe 1 or 2 Bitcoin meetups ever over the course of like a couple months, right? But like in the States, it was like almost every other week or nearly every week, right? So it was just kind of an amazing time to be there, and everyone was very congenial. Like competition wasn't quite as maybe tight as or fierce as it maybe is right now. I don't really know, but I haven't been in there in a while. But anyway, yeah, so this whole art thing is kind of a weird life changer for a lot of folks because like out here, you know, it's very rare that you can make a career out of selling your artwork. I mean, typically if you have an art degree in the Philippines, firstly, your parents are quite sad because that means it's going to be a while before they're going to see anything out of you. And secondly, like, you know, generally you end up with a career in commercial graphic design. advertising, something along those lines, right? That's what you end up as. You don't end up as an artist making art that you love, selling that stuff. That's so rare. That's so rare out here. And so like, I've spent the last 6 months or so, like, as I've started to really kind of figure this stuff out, I've spent a lot of time kind of helping kind of onboard a lot of local artists here in the Philippines onto the kind of the NFT art space, because I mean, it's suddenly a viable path for some people. I mean, obviously it's not for everyone, and like there's still kind of I've got some kind of like fairly hot takes on like exactly what's going on here, but I think generally speaking there is a path now that is viable, and you don't have to be living in New York where kind of the cool auction houses are and stuff like that, or you don't have to be in Miami for Art Basel or whatever. You can be anywhere, right? And in my case, anywhere is literally like 12 time zones away from you guys. So it's such a life changer, kind of, makes you rethink what the blockchain is for in a way, right? Because like of all of the things that was going to drive adoption of crypto in 2021, art? I'm not sure. It's crazy. Like, art? Really? It's art? Like that was not the bet I was going to make. That is right. That's just strange. It's strange.
It is.
I mean, it's wonderful.
I find it to be one of the most amazing things of the whole deal. Like, who would have thought NFTs would be the tip of the spear for blockchain technology? Like, nobody could have predicted that. Nobody. And
that
I've
was
seen
like,
what Luis has seen. I've seen multiple people now, different projects I've, worked with to try and help kind of rediscover these projects. And I'll take an example, an artist in Indonesia. And what Luis said, trust me, he was making no money, had been working for years trying to make a living as an artist, doing basically like what you'd call anime art or that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And his parents on his ass. You've got to quit, stop it, get a real job, stop it, get a real job. It's not it can't be a real job in that environment. And we basically relaunched a project they did in early 2018. And he now can support his entire family just on that project. And it's life-changing for a lot of people who, if you weren't one of the best in the world, and somehow magically discovered or somebody found you, you can actually make a living if you're, have the talent and drive and not be in New York or LA. It's amazing.
Right. You have that sort of double whammy as well. If you're not in the right location, but on top of that, your medium is digital art. There's no opportunities to make money as a digital artist unless you go work at a game studio or you work at Pixar or something like that. The ability now to not only be an artist anywhere, but also to be a digital artist anywhere. That's huge. And it's funny that this is now the big use case everyone knows about. We thought like this could be a great way to get people involved in crypto because it's a bit more normal than crypto was at the time. Even though it was still super weird, we had to tell people like, no, you don't have the picture. I could save the file, but it's different. There's a token. It was still weird, but it felt like this is less weird than what crypto was. And it's just taken a while for people to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had the right idea 4 years ago. It just took the world 4 years to kind of agree with you, which is, I think, a testament to the strength of the concept, right? And whether or not this variation of the technology is the one that will stick, I think that still kind of remains to be seen. But the point is that digital art has always needed some kind of provenance that is separate from, kind of some kind of central authority. And that provenance is kind of what has made this stuff worth spending money on in this current form. So like, the technology part of it, I'm still kind of like trying to, like, I don't know, like, will it be the same thing 10 years from now? I'm not sure, right? But like, I think generally speaking, the problem you're trying to solve with digital provenance was the correct one. And you were 4 years early. So it was like, timing, right?
More detail there, Luis, with if the project, let's say that Curio.Cards had been a centralized company. So we launched 30 cards, we had our own servers to verify them. And when the company ended, we would have run out of money and we would have stopped running the servers. So the cards would have went away in the centralized model because we, as good willing as we are, we couldn't run servers forever. Even if it was 30 years or 60 years from now, eventually whatever account we'd set up would run out of money and the servers would go down and the cards would disappear. But what happened instead because we used Ethereum?
Yeah. So like instead, what happened was that it was preserved on the blockchain perfectly, right? And actually, this is a really interesting thing because like until just a couple of months ago, Travis and I had never spoken, right? And the way for him to actually verify that, this is a really super important kind of like moment in time, right? Because so many things clicked for me at that moment. If you guys had been a traditional art agency, call it a whatever, an art agency, right? And you guys shut down the company, the artists would have no place to even go to ask for their fees or kind of their compensation for their work, right? I mean, the company's gone. There's nowhere to go. In the case of this stuff, like it was preserved perfectly. And Travis, having never even talked to me until that moment, he could just verify that I had not been paid. Right? You just look at it. Like it was right there on the blockchain. He knew exactly how much was owed to me. There was no question. There was no need to do an internal audit. You didn't have to hire accountants. None of that forensic stuff that's normally necessary to kind of disentangle a 4-year-old business that had gone kind of.
This is the coolest thing I've heard like come out of this so far, Luis, is that like one of the benefits of me being the only artist that sold out is I got paid when it happened. And so like I'm not on, like I don't have the same mental experience that you and like Dan and like all these other people like had through this process, like where like these guys are trying their best to do their most earnest thing to empower artists, but at the time just like visibility wasn't there. This like is like a new revelation to me, like hearing your perspective that is fascinating. It's like super empowering.
Yeah. So I mean, in this way, it was kind of trustless, right? So even if we didn't necessarily have the trust between, kind of the founders and the artists, that was not necessary. You could just look at it right on the blockchain. You knew that, kind of there was still money owed. All you had to do was like push it to the, all of that stuff. So it was just wonderful to think of how simple that process was. Like normally you'd have to bring lawyers in if this was like a more traditional kind of situation. So anyway, so that's it. I just wanted to share that was kind of wonderful.
It's worth saying that once Rhett put the cards into the vending machine, they were out there and they cost money. So we didn't necessarily have money to buy them with. Like with Robeck, it's like the cards were sold out, so it was really easy. We're like, take the money from those cards, give it to Robeck. Done. Got one.
Yeah, I was the guinea pig for the use case.
It took 4 years for the things to sell out. What can we do?
My question is, Travis, how did you prepay for the website hosting service, or why was the website still up?
The website, it was on Heroku, which is just very cheap. So I just left the recurring payment, and I figured I didn't leave it up with the idea that people are gonna they'll figure it out one day. They're gonna realize Curio had it right all along. We'll have our I told you. That wasn't why I did it. It was informational. People out there had Curio cards, and if they ever wanted to, verify the IPFS addresses, look up the card contracts, it was just a resource, an informational resource, an archive, a directory for those people. But it was, as CryptoPop was saying, like it's a business that exists on the Ethereum blockchain, right? It didn't require us to, contact the old accounting department or something to figure out, okay, now the cards have sold. Where's the money? The money is in the vending machine. This many cards sold, that's the money, there it is. We can withdraw that fund, transfer it over. It was all very easy, even for a project that had ended in failure 4 years before because nobody wanted the cards.
Now, one of the things that Adam said is when they were trying to track down the project, they found the website, but that the contract addresses weren't there. And as I told Adam during our interview, this wasn't any kind of secret or anything. We were trying to keep people from losing their money. We had sold these things. It hadn't worked out. We didn't think they were going to be collectible. We thought it was more like not a good investment. And we didn't want to leave the website out there with this bad investment contract on there. Isn't that right, Travis?
Yeah, we left up the card addresses, right? So you could still look at the card information, but the vending machine addresses, I mean, you can go into the Git history and see them. That's what people ended up ultimately doing. But we took them off the website because I don't want somebody to stumble across the website and be like, oh, I guess this is a current real thing that is real and current right now. Let me send Ether to this. And I mean, they get their cards, but then if they couldn't do anything else with it. They weren't an OpenSea. They weren't wrapped yet. And if an artist were to sell out and CryptoPop said, "Hey, I noticed that all the cards sold out," I wasn't even trying to access to those vending machine contracts. We actually didn't, for quite a while. If you had asked me, "Can you withdraw funds from the vending machine?" I would have said no. I did say no. And it was only more recently that through another bit of digital archaeology, Rhett was able to find the key to withdraw those funds.
So it's another interesting thing, as Adam was saying, they didn't just buy them all. Adam, tell us a little bit about how people rediscovered Curio cards and why you think that they wrote an instruction manual for Twitter instead of just hoarding them all like my precious, right?
Well, I think actually what that's a little bit of game theory, and what if you hold all the cards, how are you going to build any excitement around the cards? And so for sure, the guys who originally found it, and it was basically seen through as far as my understanding goes, it was seen in basically a comment of like a blog post. A guy I follow on Twitter basically saw it as a comment and was like, Curio cards. And somebody had just commented in like 2017 about it, like, oh, Curio cards are pretty cool. And he did his little bit of, I mean, you could still find it. It was, the website was up, right? It was there, wide open. But he had seen the comment and he got on it and obviously shared it with his friends, and they went in and got all the good cards, and then created the tweet around it to create this hype, which it certainly did. It was a mad rush on that day when it all, within a few hours they were all gone.
And it's interesting to say who has access to this world, because obviously their tweet and their information took off really well. I'd tweeted about it when the NFTs thing took off again, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we created an amazing NFT in 2017, blah blah blah." And I tweeted about it, and I mentioned it in Clubhouse, and I told a bunch of people, and I was like the village drunk in the old Irish novel. They're like, "Forget about him. He's always talking about old NFTs. That's just old Jimmy NFTs." But
he's mad.
These guys
you couldn't even give them away. Nobody.
No, not at all.
It's funny. I think that's my experience with kind of all these. Well, not all. After people did one or two, and the Mooncats really went through the roof, and people really, then it was game on. And if you put out anything, it was game on. But the first couple, people were somewhat hesitant. Like, I don't know if this is anything, but kind of just didn't want to lead people down a path to just losing money. But
those
the hype was real
cards,
when it happened with Curio. It was real.
Those unsold cards, they ended up being very useful, right? If the project had sold out in 2017, somebody would have been like, "Oh, cool, look, I found this old project. Can't do anything with it. That's fine." And they'd have moved on. And somebody would have to convince all the old holders, right? Hey, this is important again, etc., without them having any way of knowing if that was true. But all the cards that hadn't sold.
That Adam mentioned game theory. And I just wanted to ask you, was this your secret plan all along? Did you leave the vending machines active and full of cards so that perhaps someday people on Twitter would discover Curio cards, buy enough to get interested, post instructions, get those people interested, write a wrapper, write another wrapper, write another wrapper, and then get on OpenSea? Was that your plan?
And by the way, he tweeted the day before they were rediscovered, "I just quit my job." So we'll just add that on top, Travis. Explain how this all happened magically, Travis.
The quitting the job.
Dun, 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 dun.
The fact that I quit my job the day before does make this seem extremely suspicious. The timing on that, he knew. He had to know. I wish I had that foresight. I mean, as Tom mentioned earlier, we kind of thought that they were a bad investment, for people, because if a coin doesn't have a community, if a project doesn't have a community, like that's what Bitcoin's value is. It's a lot of people saying this is special, this is important. So when Curio failed to kind of find that market fit in 2017, we had our fun little community, but it wasn't enough for the cards to have this kind of large tradable value. If I could have disabled the vending machines, I would have. If there was a button I could have pressed, if there was a backdoor in the code, if there was a pause emergency function, which nobody did back then, and that's common now to have emergency functions, but that wasn't the way you did it back then. You tested in prod and it worked or it didn't. if I could have paused the vending machines, I would have, because I thought like, oh man, people are going to find these things, they're going to send money to them, and then they're going to like, message me up and be like, hey, I bought your thing. Make it go up. Release new cards. Where's the marketing? What's happening? Like this is not a active project anymore. I don't even have access to the private keys. And now we do, but at the time, like I didn't even have the private keys. So if I could have disabled the vending machines, I would have. It's a testament to the immutability of Ethereum that it was able to stop me from pushing the button that I would have pushed if I had that power.
Another great possibility here, as we're checking off all our Rick and Morty timelines, is that I could have just bought them all, right? I'm always quoting my favorite movie, Heist, where Gene Hackman says, I try to think of what someone smarter than myself would do, and then I do that. And even now I'm looking at this and I'm like, the NFT thing kicks off. I hear people talking about it in Clubhouse. I see all these NFT sales going off. I remember that I created an early NFT. Suddenly I go buy them all. And that would have been genius, right? But it would have broken this magical chain of events that led to people actually being interested in curio cards enough to build a wrapper. So
yeah, we had a couple of hundred people, or I don't know how many, but maybe a couple dozen people. I think it was more, just looking at the number of people that joined the Discord, who suddenly had cards and wanted to do things with them, and they wanted to trade them. And it was just, suddenly there was this community bigger than the original community. And then the old community showed up as well. And it's like, okay, we have like a room full of people who are really interested in these cards, because there was this excess leftover liquidity laying around.
Fast too, didn't it, Travis? Like at first it was like you were in there, I was in there, Adam was there in the Discord. Suddenly, like the little curio artist thing pops up, and they're all there. And like Luis said, we never talked to a lot of these guys. They applied by Google Form or by chat. It wasn't this age of do the video chat all the time thing. So it was kind of really neat to be that close again to these people we'd worked with so long ago.
It was great to reconnect with people like Moon and Robeck. And yeah, there was just all these people who suddenly, and somebody made a wrapper and it didn't work. And they're like, well, shoot, we better start making the wrapper right away. Because people are going to keep making wrappers that don't work or something. And yeah, and then we got it out, and it's got the blue check mark on OpenSea within like 10 minutes of it being listed. I put it on, and then I go like, okay, let me go check on the status, and it already had the blue check mark. Because people they were paying attention, they were watching, they were waiting.
Can you tell us, Travis, just a little bit about, there was a chat in the Discord, and I'm sure people missed it, where there was a person who was able to get a certain number of cards before you turned off the one of the contracts. Do you know what I'm talking about?
So two possible stories there. One is card 29 sold out before it even hit the website, because people, we'll keep that vague, were watching our deployer address at that point. The other story you might be referring to was with card 17. Card 17, 18, and 19, we had to deploy twice. There was some mistake with 19 and 18, and 17 just got redeployed along with them. 18 and 19, you couldn't buy them. Their vending machines didn't work, or they didn't deploy correctly, something like that. 17, though, it technically did work. But a couple hours after we launched those first three cards, we took them down and launched new ones. And that was not weird at the time, because like I say, projects like Ethereum, there's like 3 versions on chain. You release a version, you use it, you release another version, you just kind of test it in production. There were no advanced testnet systems, etc. So we replaced all 3 cards, and then these were now the official cards. And then when people rediscovered Curio now, they went back and they bought all the 17s that had sold out, and those were all the new 17. But somebody back in 2017 managed to buy a couple of those original 17, number 17, and people kind of in the Curio community call it 17B, the unofficial version of 17. So that's CryptoPunks card, and it ended up selling twice. They got the full royalties for the card twice, right? Because there were 2 versions of them that had active vending machines. And the funny thing is, it was actually a fork card as well. Lewis,
yeah,
if you want to talk about that card.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of so my stuff tends to date itself pretty hard because of it's usually commentary on real world events, right? And that particular card was talking about kind of the user activated soft fork back in the 2017 days. This was what would eventually give rise to kind of the whole SegWit debates and all of that stuff, and what would eventually become like the Bitcoin Cash fork later on. So I was commenting on that about how Bitcoin was dipping its toe in the proverbial waters of UASF, the user activated soft fork. That's what that card is about. Very ironically, the card itself is a fork because of what Travis was talking about how there's two versions of it, where there's one, I guess you call it the misprint, right? So you sometimes refer to it as the misprint card because there's two versions of it kind of floating around out there. Yeah, so it was kind of a funny little situation. It's both appropriate and it's ironic at the same time, I guess. But yeah,
I had no idea. I had no idea that it was even working, because 18 and 19, like I say, they don't work. If you try to buy, technically all three cards were duplicated, but you can't get 18 and 19. They don't work. And 17 did. And even though we didn't have it anywhere on the website, the digital archaeologists who rediscovered Curio found it, and they bought all of them, and none of them had sold at all. I mean, some of the 17A, the real 17, had sold in 2017, but none of the 17B, except for that one transaction, had sold. That might even be how they found it. And I'd completely forgotten that story. I'd completely forgotten that there were two 17. If somebody had asked me like, hey, are there two 17s? I'd be like, what are you talking about?
For better or for worse, the blockchain is all of your sins remembered, right? So that's what's right. Going on there.
every bug, every mistake, every misprint, it's there forever.
I mean, I thought one of the interesting things in the group was that first 17 that got posted, it must have been for a few minutes or whatever. A user got in and bought a couple, right? And then you canceled the contract or whatever, and then
we didn't have the power. Yeah, we didn't have the power to cancel the contract.
Issued the new one.
People could still buy it, but we just issued a new one and then just removed all reference to the old one. And probably at the time, I think we had a Telegram. We don't use Telegram now, but we went into the Telegram and said, "Hey, sorry, that link was wrong. Here's the correct contract address. Don't buy the other one." And you could do that back then because I'm just telling Moon and Roback and a handful of other people. But the person who managed to buy that 17 back in 2017, they showed up in the Discord. So an OG 2017 Curio person showed up and said like, hey, I have 17B with a timestamp from 2017. And I was like, show me. I had no idea they even were sellable back then. They had been bottoming back then.
So before we were talking a little bit about how you became a Curio card artist. And of course, we knew Crypto Graffiti from the meetup, and also he made Bitcoin parody art. It's pretty interesting. Almost all of the original art here we did was Bitcoin art on Ethereum. So Crypto Graffiti did his 3 logos. Then Philippe, who also helped us on the first 10 cards, did these 3 Bitcoin parodies. We talked a little bit to Luis, who know one of our advisors, Rick, who helped him connect to us. Also, he went to the San Francisco Bitcoin meetups. Again, more Bitcoin art, more Bitcoin parodies, maybe a little Dogecoin, if you want to say these are Doge.
People love the dogs. They love the dogs.
Finally, on number 20.
They do now.
All of a sudden. On number 20, we went back to Philippe again for a Mad Bitcoins card. We even attempted to raise funds for a Mad Bitcoin show, kind of unsuccessfully again, but it was a nice idea. And then we had the 3 Roback cards. Roback, we talked a little bit about how you joined the project kind of through being a fan and through Moon and Kian. But let's get out here to Daniel Friedman. Let's involve you. Daniel, how did you join the Curio Card project? How were you discovered?
You know, it's so funny because on all the ways that the artists could vary, I was in the San Francisco Bay Area during that time, yet I was going to the Rio not for that meetup. So it's funny. I'm sure I was a similar spot, different time, and a different track, and did analog art. So definitely wouldn't have considered myself as a crypto artist. Just thought there's sort of the crypto, there's the hodl and the memes, and then there's pen on paper. And that's like the ultimate analog, right? And then when I saw that Google form and the description that I ended up writing for the 3 cards, was this idea that had been starting to form around that time, 2017, when I was thinking, maybe there's actually more in common to drawing, analog, and the blockchain, because similar to the blockchain with drawing, you can only add. You can add pen that downplays a past mistake, or you can add pen that draws the attention somewhere else, but you can never remove. And so it's like the blockchain is this trace, it's a ledger, and then the drawing is a trace of our motor behavior. So just thinking about that, and I guess being in the right digital place at the right time, and then coincidentally in the right area, was what I needed. And these pieces are sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Daniel. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, just to describe the art from I guess art point of view, these are all 8.5 by 11 inch, just regular pieces of paper with black pen.
Your art, Daniel, was really important to us because one of the goals from the beginning was like, okay, we obviously want to feature digital, crypto artists and all these great crypto artists, but we had this idea that art can, collectible trading cards is like a normal thing, could be a great use case for normal people. And so we wanted to have an artist that wasn't just about, here is a Bitcoin meme, right? We wanted to have a non-crypto reference artist. And I guess actually technically Robeck was before that, and he was like really important to us as like, hey, this is like a community artist. Somebody showed up and said hi, and was an artist, and we're like, oh, this is it's amazing. But Robeck got into it through Moon. He got into it through crypto, and so Daniel's like, this is our artist who is from outside the crypto world, able to use this as a way to show off their art and share their art. And this is like our normal person use case, kind of way of thinking about it.
And another thing that was great about Daniel's work is that there was a lot of it and it was clearly hand done. Because one of the big problems with putting art onto an NFT or a blockchain is the provenance of the art, it actually being owned by the right artist, by the right person. And if you go to the Wax blockchain on Atomic Assets, if you click that whitelist off button, your browser explodes with every kind of unlicensed art and every kind of sticker, and they're all fun, but they don't go to the original artist. They're just kind of internet stuff that someone made. And we were very worried about that because we wanted to do the right thing, and we didn't have a big legal department or any kind of thing to protect us. So being able to verify Daniel's art, and I talked a little bit about this with him on an interview that we did that'll come out later. And one of the things that we kind of came together on there is that it was a proof of work. It was a proof of life. I was able to go to his Flickr account and I was able to understand, I was like, he's probably bored in class drawing these. Like I draw similar things, but not to this scale or this precision. And, he has a lot of them and he seems real. And we were able to just go with that and it worked out. You're real.
So it happened to be. And I was actually just thinking about on that game theory point, the way that the blockchain enables long-term honest signaling, skin in the game, irreversible transactions. For an artist, it allows attention in their work, not just to be traced back, as was brought up earlier, but it allows that attention to be distributed quite literally around the world and through time, as opposed to how much hype can you rouse in one moment in the auction house. And then as we're seeing, the outcome of that change in the operating environment is that people share value and they build trust and community, and that artists come together for win-win group decisions rather than some sort of loss. So it's just very interesting as a researcher and an artist.
Well, and Daniel, I also want to talk to you about your strategy for putting your art out there, because I had a kind of a similar strategy for Mad Bitcoins videos. I was like, if I do one every day, I do 5 a week, I take weekends off, and I just keep coming back and I keep doing them, and I have a nice tight format, and I try to do the best I can every day. They see this thing on PTI, they say, we'll do the best we can and try to do better tomorrow. And I would try to do that, and my background's all messed up right now because of fucking cameras. But Daniel, what was your strategy with Flickr and putting your art out there?
Well, especially if you're not getting paid to do art, you better love it. So I just worked with the tools I had at hand, pen and paper, and as I developed and evolved, the kind of art that I like to make changed, and I just had fun while making it and was lucky enough to be in situations where I could spend some time in a lecture or just at night working on it. And yeah, I just thought I'll grind on the genre, make some memes that I chuckle at. Maybe a few other people will later. But this was even starting uploading and starting drawing before crypto existed.
I think one of the things that was interesting when I did my podcast with Daniel was we went into a bit of the numbering of his cards, and as it got later in the Curio process, the artist got to choose how many of each card they wanted to issue, and Daniel issued 333, 222, and 111. So now the 26 card, which was 111, is the rarest of all the Curio cards. But I think he didn't recognize that when you add those all together, you get 666, which I thought was hilarious. I didn't even see it. He pointed that out to me. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I didn't see it. And even though I think about numbers a lot, I don't put too much stock into any interpretation, but to see that it added up that way and then to have some sort of other inexplicable error that prevented a few from circulating to sort of remove that unholy perfection was interesting. And also a point that Matt Bitcoins and I talked about. I look down at my art and I see one copy and I think about the process-based art and I think of generative-based art. Like I don't have a vision in mind and then seek to make that realized. I just have a process or a pattern or sort of like a simple algorithm and then just let the boys play. So to even have a few was a scaling up for me. And it's just so interesting to see where the number one looking up at 111 versus the 200,000 looking down saying, wow, that's the rate limiting step. And I guess it is now.
It also ensures that there can only be 111 Curio card complete sets. So it does
And
limit.
it's smaller than that now. That first wrapper that somebody created, it didn't work in a way that oh, Tom, you're sharing your whole screen.
What is that? Oh my goodness gracious!
That is the Curio Discord.
Was your background number 26? What?
So
very strange.
That first wrapper, the problem was it wouldn't unwrap. So there are, I think, 2 or 3 of Daniel's cards that are locked forever. So they're kind of burned in a lot of ways. So I think the maximum now is 109. Is that the correct number?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Robeck knows that exact number.
Dude, you think I'm keeping up with any of this?
If you go to 26, Matt Bitcoins, if you could walk to the right upper corner of 26, I will reveal a piece of information for the first time. Yeah, this is a special truth drop on live stream. On the top right corner of 26, okay, you're looking at it. You'll see there's on the very top right, about an inch from the top right corner, you'll see that there's actually an extra line that goes down and to the right when it shouldn't be there. All the other squares are clean, but it is actually, there's one little extra line there on the top right. So you heard it here first.
Nice.
I don't know if I can.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Could be proof of human. It just was an error. It looks
If
like
you
a nice
press
little
E,
arrow. It's on the very, very right margin. And it just it's kind of like there should be like a city streets, like it should be clean streets driving up and down, but then there's a little tiny flange that hangs over. And yep.
People are in the chat are saying this confirms it's not as clean as the Mona Lisa.
It is not as clean as the Mona Lisa. Nothing is.
And they say the price is collapsing right now. So we still have one more Curio artist with us to talk about today. The author of the 27 and 28 and 29 cards. These again are slightly different than all the other cards. So let's start by being joined by Max Infeld or Marisol Vingus. Max, are you with us still? And can we hear
I'm
you?
here. I'm here. Finally got audio. Yeah, so where do I begin? So a lot of the stuff I did, I went to art school. I studied art for many years, and this series I didn't really do in school. It was more outside of school. I focused on a lot of different type of like social engagement art that was kind of like using society as the medium, and a lot of collaborative stuff. So these ones I can't say I did fully myself. I did them in a collective group setting, and yeah, I definitely want to share my process with these. They're pretty interesting. Um, I'd get a lot of friends together, and I'd print out these backgrounds from Google image search, and I would have them color them in, and we would hang out, drink coffees. So essentially, this is like Hive created artwork. And then I would have someone else do these amazing composite. I knew the guy that could do the compositions. So I had a bunch of acetates, some transparency acetates that I printed out with some more Google image searches of plants, and did a quick script in Photoshop, just kind of make them all like the threshold just right, just so it only print out black. And then I essentially glued these together on some very inexpensive foam core. And I did 6 of these series over a period of, I think it was around like 4 or 5 years. And the 6th series, I got them down to a very streamlined, efficient process. And these 3 are very tiny. They're like this big. Say they're like 4 inches by 3 inches. Let me see. I might have a couple here. I can't keep the original 27, 28, 29 because of their extremely expensive value. I can't keep in my studio, but hold on one second.
So these were actual physical artworks. So unlike a lot of the other artworks, which were computerized artworks, there's Max has one right now. Let's see.
So they're really pretty and shiny, and they look kind of resiny. I wanted to do stuff that looked real cool, but very cheap and wasn't toxic. So that was kind of the imperatives behind these. But yeah, it was mostly just the residue of like hanging out with friends and shooting the shit. And yeah, I showed these in a bunch of coffee shops under this alias. And this is one above, let's see, maybe like 30 or so aliases I've had over the years. And the reason I started doing these aliases because it conflicted with consulting. People would Google my name. They'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're doing all this like weird, trippy art. I've done digital art for, oh man, I mean, since I was a wee lad. If you check out my my Flickr, I got some QR code art on there from 11 years ago, which are pretty interesting. You guys might get a kick out of it. So yeah, I've been working in digital medium for a long time. Still onboarding artists almost every day. Showing them how to use cryptocurrency, NFTs. Probably onboarded like, God, maybe over 500 people onto Wax, creating their own NFTs now. Low cost entry, fast transaction fees. I've even reissued all these Marisol pieces on Wax, and some of you are recipients of those. And I think I made over 5,000 NFTs on there for under like $40 or something like that. So super cheap.
Like Adam and I were talking about, we don't know anybody that uses an alias. And then we got into Curio.Cards, and pretty soon we were surrounded by Philippe and Crypto Pop, Crypto Graffiti, Marisol Vengus, Thoros of Mirror, Philippe, all these people with the aliases. What's going on in our lives, Adam?
I honestly, I had a hard time figuring out who's who. There's so many aliases going around. Marisol, I think Marisol was the first person out of the Curio team that I actually got in touch with. I think I'm chatting with a woman. I reach her, quote unquote, on Facebook. She gets back to me right away. I'm like, oh, this is amazing, because she has nothing on Facebook, but I'm direct messaging with her on Facebook, and it turns out it's Max, and I'm confused and befuddled and bewildered, but at the same time, very pleased, and it's super cool. Max actually did get me onto Wax and got a couple of his NFTs on Wax, and got me on the Wax blockchain, because I think it's a great, this has, when it comes to NFTs, it has to get, I think it's probably going to happen on Ethereum, but Wax makes it super inexpensive and easy right now. So Max definitely got me into that.
I definitely think it's common in the old days to have a shop filled with artists that were working for a master artist. Another unique thing about this, Max, is that your background is in printmaking. So how did the ideas of printmaking lead to the Marisol Vengus project?
Oh man, yeah. One of my degrees is in I got a BFA in printmaking from Chico State, and I studied it. I'm truly in love with the process. I was obsessed with stamp collecting as a child, and that got me very deep into how things are printed. And yeah, I'm using a lot of those themes that I learned about the concept of like the multiple, and yeah, I just want to take it to the next level. Most of my work isn't in traditional printing. I started getting more into projects where I'd like come up with ideas and then pick the mediums to kind of justify what I wanted to do. So picking the tools more so. Oh yeah, so like most of the social stuff, it doesn't fit into one of those categories. Sometimes just using just random office supplies or just whatever I can get for cheap can meet the criteria, and I don't have to use those things. But yeah, those ideas that come out of traditional art definitely informed a lot of those. Yeah, informed Marisol's piece. And yeah, I just wanted to drop another alias I have. I don't think I've ever even acknowledged this publicly, but I have one called Natoshi Sakamoto. So couple, and it's an older alias. You guys might want to look it up. FYI, there isn't NFTs there yet, but anyway.
Interesting stuff.
You know, on the question about like why artists use pseudonyms, like, dude, everyone wants to be Banksy, right? Everyone wants to be Banksy and Beeple and stuff like that. And if you can give yourself a cool ass name to shop your memes with, why not? It's fun. It's fun.
Certainly, Joe Steele wasn't born that way. But Max, you were in the traditional art world. You'd went to school. How did you hear about the Curio project? Did you see it on a bulletin board at your college? Were many of your professors excited about blockchain and digital collectibles back in the day?
Oh no, actually, I think I heard it from you first. I got a message. I think it was like, do you have art? I'm like, fuck yeah, I have some art. And yeah, I thought Marisol was a perfect fit for Curio because it was this it still is a decentralized artist. I can't take full credit. I mean, I definitely have created this entity that lives beyond its own physical form. So yeah, I think it's perfect for this project.
Now we have just one more piece of art left in the collection to talk about. Maybe Travis can tell us a little bit about it. Here's card number 30, the second animated card.
Yeah, a lot of people think this was the first GIF, but that's actually 23. If you keep an eye on the barbarian, you'll see he flexes his muscle and I believe winks as well every now and then. Let's see if we can see it happen. So yeah, card 30. There was an eclipse happening around the exact same time that we had our regular launch occurring, and it's the supply of the card was also the date of the eclipse. I think it was like 8/27 or 8/21, and it was that was the month and the day the eclipse was happening on. And originally the idea actually was, let's like see if we can just time lapse photograph the eclipse and make that a card, but it turns out I need all this special equipment and a lot of the setup to do that, and we had the idea just like right before, which people were just chatting about it. So an artist, Thoros, made this, and it was just so perfect. We're like, oh yeah, there it is, the eclipse card. So that became the 30th card.
Now Thoros I could find absolutely nothing on. Like zero. So
did you find
I don't
what
know.
The name, did you find what the name is referencing?
Probably, but I probably ignored it because I'm more linear. But can you?
Thoros of Myr, if you look it up, it's a Game of Thrones character, and the person who is Thoros, they're around. They've contributed to Curio in other ways, and I believe they're in the Discord. But they have chosen to remain anonymous all these years. So I think this is the only work they ever released under that particular pseudonym.
Very mysterious.
And their identity is a closely guarded secret.
And it was kind
Is
of
it Max? Can we? Is it Max?
It's always
It's no one.
No, no,
It's
no one
always
on this-
Max.
Yeah.
It's not me. I
It's no
swear.
one on this this particular call.
Okay.
In many ways, card 30 was a fitting final card for the Curio Card project. The Curio Card project itself was kind of like an eclipse. It passed in front of the sun, blocked out the sun for a very short amount of time, and then continued on. After this, no more cards were printed. Other projects, Rhett went on to work on new things. Travis learned computer programming. I went to Europe. The people drifted apart, and the project was left. And then it was rediscovered. So it's been very interesting. Travis, what do you think about the original 30 cards?
It's a nice number. The idea at the very beginning is, we were gonna do this thing. We're gonna let artists make their own cards, but it also was kind of the spiritual successor to the art show that we had done the year before, the San Francisco Bitcoin Proof of Art show, and to have a 30-piece set that's a very nice gallery-sized amount of art, as you can see from the 3D gallery that you can walk around. So it ended up being this really nice sort of galleryable set of art. And doing we wanted to launch multiple cards each week. So we thought 3 would be a tangible amount that we release each week that wouldn't overwhelm us, but still give people an option. And that was an odd number. So then we'd have to we'll do 10 by itself. We'll do 20 by itself. And then we did 30 by itself as well. These kind of rounded out moments. So it's almost like 3 different stages of the project. And it all makes this nice set. So I do enjoy that amount. It's something you can look at a glance, you can understand it, you can participate. There are cards that are very common. There are thousands of them, and there are cards that are very rare. There's only 109 of 26. And I think it just gives people an easy way to discover, an easy way to explore, to grab some and own some and understand it through that medium, as well as just kind of know a little bit about all the cards. We could cover it very quickly.
And at this point, I'd like to go ahead and open up the chat to some of the people who have been hanging out here, who aren't crypto or Curio founders, who aren't Curio artists. And maybe you could tell us just a little bit about how you found the project, what your ideas are for the future, what you think about the project. We're going to go kind of alphabetical. So Brandon, are you with us? If we can't have Brandon, how about Kian? Are you with us?
That's Kian.
Yeah, what's up?
So what are your thoughts on Curio cards? Just a little bit. Go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, originally it was just this funny project that Travis was doing early on. I knew Travis as a friend back then, and it was okay, well, I'm kind of into cryptocurrency, and Travis was doing this thing, so I stuck around. I bought some cards, and it was a fun project for a little while. We would get hyped, like Robeck with every Tuesday or whatever that we did it, or was it Thursday? I don't know, dropping new cards, and then it kind of died out, and kind of all sort of forgot about it for 3 or 4 years or whatever. And then, after all of a sudden out of nowhere, a bunch of people started hitting me up on sometime in April about how this whole thing is coming back. And so it was really cool to get back into it. I ended up making the little wrapper website. And it's kind of funny. I wasn't, I didn't really help out with Curio cards too much early on in the beginning, but then after it got back ramped up and I actually, understood how to code a little bit better this time around, I was able to help out. Cool.
And the wrapper site is absolutely gorgeous. Is a really great contribution. And just for people to understand, the wrapper site is the tool you can use to take these old native Curio cards, because they were made way before any kind of NFT standard existed, and you wrap them up in a more modern NFT style contract, and then you can trade them on OpenSea. Somebody asked earlier, there was a comment earlier about how how this might change in the future. And I think if you kind of look at the life cycle of NFTs so far, it's pretty obvious. When it first came out, there were many different variants. There were a lot of different types of NFTs. There wasn't this one very specific, strict definition. There were projects that had, there was, prints, right? Multiple sets of one kind. There were kind of projects where there was unique individuality for each one. There were some where they even were divisible, but they were still unique across series. And then we started kind of boiling it down to very strict, specific definitions with the standards, 721, which is great for adoption and people using them and having websites that support them and wallets support them. But as we explore this space more, there's too much creativity to stay in that box. I think people are going to start experimenting again with strange, bizarre, weird types of NFTs. And we're going to see unusual standards and hack standards and a whole kind of explosion of unusual types of NFTs.
Just want to say congratulations to all the winners who joined the Discord chat, who went to the CurioCon 21 room. Thanks to Robeck. He's been giving out some cards to these winners in the room. We also had a winner of the caption contest. I'm having trouble finding that, but there's been a lot of giveaways if you join the Curio Discord. So
can we have Robeck real quick go through his cards, because I didn't get it. I think it's an interesting story about those three that I didn't know until you guys explained it to me. If Robeck wants to go through who his three cards are about and how he came up with that idea.
Oh, me? Hello?
Yeah, bro. You.
Oh, you want me to talk? Okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
man.
Yeah, no problem. Sure. What's the question? What
just
about
your cards? How you came up with the idea?
Oh, sure.
And
yeah.
what they are. I mean, I think
Well,
think most people maybe know what they are now, but can you just explain to somebody
totally.
who doesn't know
Yes,
Curio
I'm
what they
happy. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for throwing it over my way. So real quick, I'm gonna push my glasses up and take off the other fake glasses and talk about real quick. At the time, I had been doing primarily articles and stuff for like this like gonzo journalism style, like weird satire mixed between like onion stuff. It was fun. It was awesome too. There's some really cool stuff there. But I've been doing all that. That was like super like mostly pixel art, trying different stuff like with like Krita and like other open source stuff that was coming out at the time. And I was like, hey, I want to do all these animated cards because that's what I do. I do like these animated silly like GIFs, and they're like, well, you can have 2 frames. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to do a set based on some of the stuff that I was doing, which was Moon and I were working on something called, ironically, Ethereum, but it wasn't the same thing as the other Ethereum. It was going to be on Ethereum, but it was going to be based off of like this concept of everybody was dropping ICOs and like there's going to be all these useless tokens, and we wanted to have this thing where you could wrap those, but it wasn't called wrapping then. We wanted to call it slotting, where we were like, okay, we have these different rewards for playing this game that we're playing, and we were doing a mud, which is multi-user dungeon, and we were gonna like you type stuff in, you're like basically like slap rat or like punch cat or like inspect inventory, and like the different rewards would be like tokens that were represented like with these slotting things that gave them properties. So we had been working on that for a while, and I had done a bunch of dungeon art. So I was like, well, I'm into this dungeon theme, and I can't do the pixel stuff, but I'm into Krita, so I'm going to carry this over. And my cards are based off of the dudes that were building it. So it was like Thomas and Rhett and Travis, and just like the interactions I've had with them in YouTube, I'm pretty abrasive. So like I don't have like a general filter that normal people should have. And so their responses very much dictated kind of like the trope that I went for. Is like Rhett was just like doing stuff and he mostly ignored me, and like I appreciated that, and so he's just cranking out the solidity code, and I was like, okay, well, barbarian, high HP, high threshold for like punishment, just gonna do this work and get it done and like hack away at it. Travis was like, hey man, can you please just tone it down just like slightly for like 15 minutes? Really appreciate you being part of this community. Like really like it'll work out. And Tom's like over here like casting like spells like, hey, what if we did like trading cards on blockchain? And it just felt like a cohesive party. So that was kind of the direction for that at the time. And I don't know, I would love to redo them now in like a format that I like, but that was where we were at the time. So.
And you made supporting artwork for this as well. There's a commercial.
Oh yeah, I
only
did
cards
do that.
to have their own commercial.
I was doing a lot of found footage stuff because we were hosting stuff on Fetty that was like, hey, we're gonna do like a distributed movie night, and we would make trailers for the stuff we would show. So at the time, I was kind of like, well, I applied that to the Curio thing.
Well, and we
haven't changed a bit, man.
Have this queued up and ready from July 20th, 2017 on the Mad Bitcoin Show. An interview with Robeck. Let's see if it still works. Here we go.
You have it on mute.
But here it is. We're going to play the Robeck's World announcement, the video that I think sold the cards here. So hold on just a sec. We'll get your reaction.
Have stolen all the ether. Who will save Ethereum? Wizard, bard, barbarian. These three heroes must go on a dangerous adventure to free the ether and to stop the Dark Goblin King.
If you want the riches, you'll have to conquer my dungeon.
Man, it's like it reminds me of Saturday morning cartoons, man.
Yeah, I think it's funny for me because, of course, I'd seen the original Gauntlet commercial when it was out, and I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, that's the Gauntlet commercial. That's perfect for this, like you said, the party with the wizard and the barbarian and the bard, the whole Gauntlet, Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons theme really took off there.
Yeah, so like I would have loved to have like done stuff and animated, but like I don't know, there's like a lot of really cool stuff you can do in like shared culture settings, and like the Gauntlet commercials are 30 years old or whatever, like, but they share so many tropes that you would apply to things like currently, and just like different VO with some like random effects, you can change the mood and the scene. And generally, like, I don't claim ownership of the footage. Like, those are very talented owners, like artists that like provided that kind of artwork back then. That was like, in a way, it's very similar, like comparison to what we were doing in 2017, or even like what people are iterating now, and like the hype cycles. Like, constantly have to like people who did an animation for a video game like Gauntlet back in the day. That's crazy. Like, you have to think about like the stuff they went through, and like I think it's just like a transitional thing. It's like, okay, well, back then these people were doing this, and let's apply this to this new space. These concepts are all the same, like from like a trope perspective, like collectibles or like things that people want, or like art, or like heroes. These are all applicable throughout forever, and almost like your 10 cards in the first set, right? Like same similar perspective. So I don't know. It's been cool to see, and it's been cool to see where people are pushing it now. That's been super awesome. So that's generally my spiel. Nothing else to say. So yeah, done.
We're also joined by Moon. Moon, what are your thoughts on the Curio Card project?
Well, you know, I came in as a fan, and then built a gallery to look at my own cards, and that led to getting kind of involved a little bit in the project, doing some HTML and CSS and stuff, and which led to me learning Solidity, which I'm doing today, and ended up doing the wrapper to turn the ERC20 tokens into the ERC 1155 NFTs. So there's a gossamer thread all the way from the past to the present of, you know, getting involved in that and getting involved into it again. And I'm just really grateful for all the people that have been involved with this and have allowed me to participate. It's been a great part of my life. Makes me very happy. I hope that, and it was cool to see a bunch of other people interested in the project again, more than even in the past, and that was really neat to see. That's about it. I'm just glad that it exists, and I'm happy with how it's going. I think that it's a great thing.
What a fantastic story, Moon, that you started off with the project, got a little bit of solidity under your belt. years later, the project comes back and you have the knowledge to help out the project. I mean, it's that perfect kind of story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Moon was exactly what we needed right when we needed it. We had to make a new wrapper, and there was Moon, and he knew how to do it. He'd been working on it for years. Your story about how any small way that Curio was able to contribute to your introduction to Solidity and to Ethereum world, Moon, is a very important, special story to me. So I really love hearing that.
Some of the nicest stories that I've found over doing Mad Bitcoins and World Crypto Network and just trying to spread the word about Bitcoin over the years is at one conference, they brought the kid up to meet me, this little 12-year-old kid or something. They're like, hi, this is my son. He's learning programming. He loves Bitcoin. And I asked him what he was programming. He said he was making a third-person shooter. And, technology's gotten so far, these kids can do all these little code snippets into the shooter to modify it, to change it, and that they could learn programming. And I thought it was just so great that here's this kid, and I always tell kids, I'm always like, you should learn programming. And he actually was. So that was the best. It's great to add Moon's story to that. And another nice one is Jack Mahlers always tells me that when he would go home from school, like from high school or whatever, he would watch Mad Bitcoins. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, what a perfect story where it was just like the Hackers the movie. They would watch that Hacker TV show and become better hackers. And hopefully Jack Mahlers watched the Mad Bitcoin show and became a better Bitcoiner, helped lead to what he did in the future. We're also joined by Mario. Mario would like to join us and just say something about Curio.Cards if you're with us. All right,
Mario, you can do it. Unmute.
Mario.
Go.
Hi,
There
yeah,
you are.
you guys.
I love. Don't you love putting
Mario,
people on the
you
spot?
Can do it. Unmute.
I did.
Mario. There you are. Don't you love Mario? You can do
I'm hearing myself. It's very spectacular.
Yeah,
phenomenon.
now
It's
Mario's
like,
just.
I feel like
opened
I'm a
up.
ghost.
There's Mario. What's up, Mario?
Oh, he's there.
You're
He's
on
gone.
second, brother. Put the-
Gotta mute the show, Mario. We're on a bit of a
Hey, how's it
delay.
going?
Gotta mute your other.
No, it's just how the feedback loops, multi-scale feedback
you gotta
loops.
mute him.
The multi-year.
It's
good. Yeah, multi-year feedback loops, as we just heard, and then there's the sub-second or the few second level feedback loops. So we're just seeing the embedding again and again. You got linear blockchain and then circular time.
And this is why we've had Daniel here this whole time. He's our science officer, ready to explain this kind of problem when we have it.
Daniel gave me when I interviewed Daniel for my podcast, he gave me one of the quotes which I almost use it every day now, which is crypto giveth and crypto taketh away. So I just had to thank Daniel for that one, which I use all the time now, especially when I lose money on crypto. Like I was investigating a project the other day, sent money down the drain, and Daniel playing in the back of my mind. Crypto giveth and crypto taketh away.
I've got one for you. I've got one for you, Adam.
Yeah.
Like, what we do in NFTs echoes in Ethereum.
I like that one.
Well, let's try Mario one more time. Mario, we'll all mute ourselves and just tell us what you think about the Curio.Cards project, Mario. I thought it was going to work that time. I thought it was going to work, but we're on.
All I'll say to that, Adam, is if you spell out crypto giveth and taketh, you got to capitalize that ETH.
Okay.
All right, so I think we're just going to do one more stroll around the Curio.Card gallery, and just for people that.
Oh wait! Don't do it quite yet. You have to do the cheers music in the background. Let's like really sell this thing then.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, perfect.
Making your way in the world today takes everything. Taking a break from all your troubles sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
How's it going?
Hey, Mario, we're doing the cheers music. What do you think about Curio.Cards?
I think it's a great project. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like I've been pretty much researching this for a few hours now, and I think it's amazing. I'm just I can't believe
Or
I'm
is
kind of
basically an
still
expert.
yeah, I'm still
What
out of breath
he's
right
got
now
us.
because I won. But
Hey
Yeah,
Mario,
Mario
thanks for
just
joining
won
us,
the
man. How'd
caption
you find out
contest.
about it, Mario?
just through Twitter.
Just a tweeter, man. Yeah.
I'd love
Yeah.
to know the journey as a person that doesn't want to sell these to you, but like other things. Like
It's
what was
actually
the
Gary Vaynerchuk. There's Gary Vaynerchuk's community. There's a bunch of people like calling you guys out, saying you guys are the first and you guys are very undervalued. So actually,
Love Gary
thanks to
V.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Are you serious?
Discord,
That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Thanks to Gary
Incredible.
Vaynerchuk's Discord, I was able to find you guys.
Hey Gary, I appreciate the community. Like just in case he one day finds this stream, I want to tell him that I really do appreciate the community token. I think it's like honestly, honest to God, I'm probably going to steal the concept like down the road. But like, I don't know. That you gotta work on your incentives.
Gary's
You gotta work on the
pushing
art.
the envelope, man, and this is
Yeah, it's good. It was
what
good.
you guys did in 2017. This pushed the envelope. He's pushing the envelope. He's getting a lot of flack for it, of course.
I'm not bashing on him for the thing. I think it's conceptually a very, very sound idea.
Yeah,
I want to be just invite me in so I can draw all your like art and then like and then like suck all the life out of your project. Like just please like include me. Like make it about me and not about your stuff. And I'm happy to like level up the assets you provide.
Well, I know you're not selfish like that, Robeck. I actually want to thank Robeck for giving away cards tonight to people in the chat. Very kind of you. There's been a few people in there giving away cards for just the gas fee and stuff. So thanks to all of you guys. Really generous. Definitely.
And thanks to Gary V for spreading the word. Sounds very cool. I don't know what the community coin is. I'll have to go check that out. But we were just walking around the gallery, and one of the things I think and what I like so much about this virtual gallery, it's almost working, is I think one day we'll be doing this with a real art gallery. And maybe we'll be looking at monitors, and they'll be just displaying the IPFS images of the original Curio cards. And we'll be telling people over cocktails and little sandwiches how neat it was to make this project and to make this art. That's lasted so long. And one of the things that Adam said when we interviewed is Adam said that, when you have a failed startup from 2017, you don't often get lauded and celebrated for it 4 years later. People aren't like, yeah, I see the work you did and it really lasted the test of time. So it's really neat that Curio cards have lasted and been rediscovered and that people are enjoying them now.
Yeah, I mean, basically I got like the vaccines. Have you heard about these things? People are getting them. They basically have the hash of every Curio IPFS CID like embedded in the metals that they use, like to like cause the autoimmune response. So like everyone now, like just because like you didn't realize this, but now you're part of the blockchain, and like Curio is part of that history. And moving into the future, 20 years from now, you'll be laughing, being like, man, remember that time we were on that Curio stream? We really were there the whole time. That was a joke. Just disclaimer. Ha ha ha. You guys have a sorry. I should stop talking. Generally, I'm gonna turn my camera off.
Let's see. We'll do one more time through the slides tonight.
Love that dude, man. Love that dude.
We'll go to each individual participant, give you guys a chance to say goodbye, and also I have a fun special announcement that I hope you guys will like here. So we showed some of these original Robeck works, which were fan art from 2017 of Curio cards. It says here, I've got to get my teeth into those new Curio cards. I got to have them. I got to get them. So that was fun. Let's see. We had another one here, August 1st, Curio card cash. There's a dumpster. There's a CC raccoon celebrating the launch of Bcash. Here's a artwork celebrating New Card Tuesday, an exciting event that we did every week. Here's a classic. I think I used to play this on the live streams that said, hey kid, want to buy some Curio cards? And he's got his jacket open, very underground. And remember, this is a secret NFT. You're not supposed to talk about Curio cards. There's probably a bunch of forums right now that are saying Curio cards are not NFTs. So just keep that in mind. This is an early project. We did a lot of crypto art back in the day at the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. Coin artist, Crypto Graffiti, and others joined us on May 25th, 2016 in San Francisco. Travis and I and Isabel and Paige and others hosted the Bitcoin meetup there. We've had these cards for sale on the website for a long time. Anyone could get them. There's amazing galleries where you can track the supplies. There's a very clean Lisa, the first Mona Lisa on the blockchain. So if you want to buy the first Mona Lisa on the blockchain, I don't think CryptoPunks has taken the claim for that yet, but you have to watch them. They might try for that tomorrow. You can buy these cards on OpenSea. There's a variety of ones, but the ones you want to get are Curio.Cards. They have the little blue check mark, so you know you're on the right ones. The other ones, it's more complicated. You can read about it. Like we said, I'm Tom. I'm 21. That card there. Travis is here. He's card 22. And Rhett can't be with us, but we want to celebrate Rhett, who did all the programming, wrote the Solidity contracts, made the vending machines. This is all thanks to Rhett. So thanks to Rhett. Here's a classic picture of all of us at one of our original meetings where we worked on this plan with our advisor, Rick Chan. You can see Rick, Travis, Rhett, myself, everybody in there. And we were featured in a couple of news articles. Shout out to Jamie Redmond, who featured us in June of 2017, writing about Curio cards, and again in 2021, both on Bitcoin.com. Sadly, we've recently been removed from the crypto art Wikipedia. They said that our sources were not good enough. We should have had more important newspapers write about us in the time period. So they removed us from there. We're also not in the NFT article on Wikipedia. Other people seem to prefer that we're not mentioned. CryptoPunks is the first NFT on Ethereum and the entire inspiration for the ERC 721 standard. So let's not correct that. And we were mentioned in the ERC 721 standard twice. You can look that up. That's in the document. And I mentioned earlier a golden ticket, like the movie Willy Wonka, and something really special that you could earn. And that's because I've created my own Mad Bitcoins Collectors Club cards. And you could get one tonight. You could get a membership card for the Mad Bitcoins Collectors Club. This entitles the owner to all kinds of exciting things in the future. If you've tried out Wax on the Atomic Assets platform, we've got some free links giving away to people right now, and you can buy them on there. And we're probably going to drop things onto there. So it could be really cool to be a member of the Mad Bitcoins Collectors Club. So there it is. I made it through the whole
Nice. Just claimed mine, man.
And
Awesome.
I bugged. So it goes.
Transaction failed. No way. They're already gone? Come
amazing.
on, man.
Gotta be fast.
Come on. I claimed that 8 seconds after you hit that link. Come on.
All the links are out there. I don't know. I dumped a couple of the links in there. I'll probably try to dump them more on Twitter, but it takes time to make all these links. So they need a better way to make the links. But
I think Robeck grabbed it before I got it. Gosh dang it.
He's got it.
No, I didn't. Trust me. I told him. No, yeah, you know me. Like I tell Max all the time. Thank you for sending me the Wax links.
Again,
and one day you'll break me, but we haven't yet. But I'll get there.
It's fun with a garbage.
Maybe it's the Mad Bitcoins ones. Who knows? Maybe that was it.
Cards, and I've got a couple Marisol Vengas on there, so I'm just having fun on the Wax platform. If you guys want to join me, get that card. I'll dump some more of them on Twitter. I think I'm selling them for like $20 if that's interesting. But let's just go down the line. We'll go in Curio order. So we'll just, Travis, closing thoughts on CurioCon 4 years later. Do you think we'll do this next year? What do you think about the new community? Huh?
4 years later, that part jumps out at me because apparently while we were on this stream, Ethereum broke 4,000. That happened during this call, if y'all haven't seen. And I asked in the new community room, what was Ethereum worth on May 9th when we first launched Curio? And it was $87 when we first put Curio out. And now it just hit 4,000. And we are over 300 ETH traded on OpenSea now, which that obviously spans the many ETH prices. When we first, about a month ago, launched on OpenSea, I think ETH was closer to 2K. So I can't just take that number and times it by 4,000. But I think it's got to be around $1 million in total trade volume because we're well over
That
that.
would be $1.2 million.
Yeah. So if I remove 200,000 as error on the fact that the price has changed while we've been doing this, it's either right at or very close to $1 million in trade volume on OpenSea, like a month or so after Rediscovery, and that blows my mind. Absolutely, say we do another one of these. CurioCon it's alliterative. I like that. You know, that the CC. I also like the idea that it's an anniversary. We also like the idea that it's a birthday party because we have Curio the raccoon. And he was born that day on May 9th when he showed up and told everyone, hey, look at these apples and nuts and berries that I've gathered and I'd like to share with y'all.
Adam McBride, you're an early discoverer of Curio Cards. What are your closing thoughts on Curio Cards?
Well, for me, it's just what an honor to be with you guys. I mean, you guys, I've made so many new friends here, just great people all around. And what can I say? It's far more than the cards. It's the community around the cards that is special. And it's only going to grow from here. There's zero question in my mind. It's only going to grow. And it's just wonderful to be a part of it.
All right, let's go to Luis, CryptoPump. Your closing thoughts on Curio Cards, and of course, where can people check out your work and of course your NFTs as well?
Thanks so much, guys. You know, there's a lot to say about cryptocurrency in general, right? And kind of being in this kind of industry. And a lot of the time it's like sticking to your guns, even when the timing doesn't seem right. And I think in the case of Curio Cards, it has certainly proven to be kind of an idea that was ahead of its time by a little bit, but it's come back to be, you know, very heavily validated and by the community that has just basically dug it up and kind of brought it back to the spotlight. I'm really grateful that I was part of the kind of the original set. I can't wait for like what a sequel to this stuff might look like. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like when I look back on the early art, I'm like, gosh, I wish I'd spent like a couple more days on that because like I bet I could have made something way better. But like at the same time, it's a wonderful kind of a wonderful reminder of just a different time, right? A different mindset. I was drawing dogs back then. I guess I can draw some other stuff now. So yeah, I'm just super excited. I wanna work on these same artists again with some new artists also. I'm at Hello Luis on Twitter. If you want to look at what's up my more recent stuff, I'm on makersplace.com/cryptopop. And yeah, I've been doing this for 4 years. I'm gonna be doing it for a long time to come. See you again soon.
And people forget that you almost exclusively drew dogs and numbers back in the day. You draw large round numbers. That's what you were into. But you've
well, if you follow him on Twitter, he's a very good follow on Twitter. He posts amazing, beautiful pictures of his home and country and stuff like that. But keep an eye out for the cat, because a cat makes it into almost every one of his pictures by magic.
That's true. I used to be a dog person. Now I am very thoroughly a cat person. So Travis, you and I have that in common. So yes, if I ever do like another set for Curio Cards, it's mostly gonna be Curio Cats, I think. That much I can promise you guys.
And that's alliterative, Curio Cats. I mean, that's like the #1 requirement
There you go.
for anything in the Curio's project. It has to be alliterative.
There you go.
Traitor to the dog kind. And one of the fun things that people said about this when it was discovered is that the Moon Cats project was like #3 or #4 there, up there as well. And they were like, oh, dogs were on the blockchain before cats. Ha ha ha. And people were very excited about that. So they'll be also excited to see you change teams and go for the cats. Let's go to Robeck. You were one of the early artists on Curio Cards. What are your closing thoughts on it, and where can people find your current work?
Okay, Curio. Yeah, cool project. Amazing stuff. Well done, everyone. Round of applause. I appreciate being able to be a part of it. It has been transformative. I think that Curio, like, I think I said this in the chat and I say it all the time. Like, if you think about things, you can say technically correct. Punks are 721s technically. And then you can also say 1155s came out of that. Curio was the proto of that. And there's like a lot of really cool like like stuff where you talk about standards and like philosophy or whatever, semantics, I always like mute myself, like mute conversations like that, because it gets me too deep into places I will argue and I don't need to, because it doesn't really matter. So Curio, amazing. What where it has brought me through the space has been amazing. The things I've discovered, the people I've met, very, very cool. Like all I want to see ultimately, like it's not for me, like the artists that have participated here, whether it's Luis or Daniel or Max or any of the Philippe, like these people that are participating, like y'all are like guinea pigs. Like what I want is to be plugged into that matrix, right? Like and like participate in this metaverse and like be able to like shape and be the person that I want to be. And I feel like this sounds a little crazy and like a little bit like diluted, but like I think it's not like just all these aspects of ownership and like creativity and like how you can expand and explore as like a group of like people that share the same mindsets and like that want to work together and like see the same visions. I think, I don't know, Curio kind of sparked this like weird imagination in me. And like, I'd probably be normal had Moon not pointed me here. I'd probably be like working in Wall Street and like drawing really cool ads for whatever marketing software you think you should own. But here I am now, and I don't care. There's nothing to follow about me. You should check out everybody else. Everybody else is like the cool stuff. If you care enough to listen to me talk all the time, we have like a 10 grands thing. You can try to figure out how to spell that and find it. But like ultimately, yeah, that's on you. Awesome community, but like birthed out of all this. So that's me.
Daniel Friedman, what are your thoughts on Curio Cards and where can people find your art?
Thanks, everyone. I'm just really appreciative to our broadcaster and facilitator and community. Definitely, we're continuing forward with the birthday party tradition. I think the piece that I walk away from this conversation really curious about is how do we use NFTs in new ways? How do we use them as affordances for community governance and for communities of practice, as well as for new art, and just blur that space between the deliverable, the product, and the process and the performance of everything? People can find me at searching my name, Daniel Friedman or Daniel Ari Friedman, or on Twitter at Inference Active, which is a little bit more science communication oriented than crypto, but it's always good to have a healthy, balanced informational diet.
Very cool. And finally to Max Infeld, your thoughts on Curio Cards and where can people check out your current projects?
Oh man, what an incredible community to I feel like in some ways to just randomly be part of, but it must be there for some reason. Yeah, super grateful for birthing our proto NFTs into this world. It's just super unreal. Yeah, you can find me on the internet. Just search my name. I'm on a bunch of different stuff. If you search hard enough, you'll find some cool aliases too. 2 predictions relating to Curio cards. I would say in a year, quote me on this, will probably be in some games on some other blockchain, some type of like wrapper thing pegged. I don't know technically how it's going to happen, but I suspect they'll be like staking our cards on some other blockchain, that getting some dividends and rewards, and maybe you'll earn them in a treasure box when you play some game. My second prediction, we're going to find out that we are actually living inside an NFT that is one of the Curio cards. Boom.
Mind blown. Mind blown. I don't even know where to go from there, but we'll try to work back towards our originally planned closing. So just to everyone out there, you can learn more about Curio Cards at Curio.Cards. You can also check out the Discord. There's a lot of links to that around. I think there's one on the top of the Curio.Cards webpage. You can also follow Curio Cards on Twitter at MyCurioCards. That's another great place to get information about this. They're for sale on OpenSea. If you want to buy them with Ethereum, you can buy them on there. A lot of people use the MetaMask wallet in their browser. Seems to be a good way to go. So you can give that a try. And I just wanted to say that we talked about a lot of different interesting formulas for how to be a successful artist tonight. Daniel filled out a form. Robeck showed up in a community, made artwork for them, talked loudly. Max knew some guys from college. Luis knew some guys through business, went to some meetups. But what they all have in common is that they put their art out there, from Philippe to Daniel putting his Flickr up, to even Travis and Rhett and I making these baseball cards on the blockchain. No one told us we could do this. No one especially helped that much. It was pretty much because we wanted to do it. And so I just say to anyone out there, if you want to put your art out there, that's what you have to do. That's the first step, is that you publish it. And as an artist myself, with my videos and things, when they're done, I move on to the next project. So you make it, you publish it, you move on to the next one. Doesn't always make money, doesn't always make you famous or any of those things. Sometimes even being famous doesn't make you money, but it's going to get you where you need to go. So I hope everyone will follow that in the artistic journey. And if they're going to make NFTs, go and make them. Or if you're going to upload to Flickr or Twitter or whatever you're going to do, just make your art and then tell us about it. Send a message to @MadBitcoins and I'll retweet about your art and that kind of thing, especially if you spend a lot of time on it, work hard on it, if it's good art, that kind of thing. But thank you so much to everybody for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up. That really helps these YouTube videos, and to subscribe down below. Someone said recently that the YouTube subscription is the most important interaction in all of social media. So I had no idea. I just want you to watch the videos. So if you want to watch the videos about crypto and Bitcoin and NFTs and other things like this, push the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Stay on the call. We're going to have an after call for a little bit, but until next time, bye. And thank you for celebrating CryptoCon 21. Until next year. All right.
Thanks, everyone.